Hi, and welcome to another episode of Can't Stop the Growth. I'm your host, Chad Peterman, and today I am joined by one of our top service technicians in the HVAC side of the business, Josh Ross. Josh is going to tell us a little bit about his background, what he does out in the field, and how he, as I think he does as good as anyone in our business, leads himself every day when it comes to mindset and understanding of what he needs to be for each and every customer that he walks into their home. Josh, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Chad.
Absolutely. Well, Josh, let's start off. Let's give the listeners a little bit of background as far as what kind of your career and where you grew up and all of that stuff. So just kind of give us your life story condensed.
Absolutely. Well, I grew up in Hope, Indiana. Graduated in 2008. I worked high school jobs and stuff like that, but got married and stuff and was looking for a career. 3 years ago, I got into the industry. I worked for another company local, and then March 2nd, I'll be with Peterman for a year. I'm now a senior technician here, and I just continue to try to grow myself in this career and in this industry and make an impact on others and my customers and everything like that.
Absolutely. Josh, tell me a little bit about, you said you were looking for a career, found the HVAC industry. What attracted you to the industry outside of, obviously looking for a career?
Well, I've always been in customer service. Anything I've ever worked on, I've been in customer service. I love interacting with people. Being able to take care of customers has been my entire life. Like I said, all the other places I worked were just jobs. It was just a clock in, clock out, go home thing. I wanted something that I could, not only make a career, but continue to make an impact on people's lives. And that it wasn't something that I just dreaded going into every day, 8 to 5 job. That's the good thing about this is every day is a different day. You don't know what each day is going to bring. And I think that's the best thing that makes it worthwhile is knowing that every day is going to be something different. You're going to meet new customers every day. You're going to hear their stories, be able to tell your story. And that's the biggest thing that attracted me was knowing that, it wasn't going to be the same thing every day.
Absolutely. And I hear that from a lot of technicians and a lot of people really just frankly in the industry. Every day is a new adventure. And I will say even I feel that way. There's always a new challenge. Always, what was it? 2 weeks ago, we're looking to shut down the entire company basically because of a snowstorm.
Yep.
And today it's going to be 55 degrees outside. So explain me that one. I'm not really sure. But you mentioned the career versus the job. And I think that is one of the things that we try to stress is that this is a career, not just a job. What would you say, having worked in what you would call jobs and now in a career, what would you say the biggest difference is for that? And what should people be looking for if they're looking to make that transition from what they view as a job now to finding that career?
Well, to me, a career is something you enjoy. That's the biggest key for me is the difference between a job and a career was a job you're just making money at, you're just doing it to support your family. A career is something that you truly enjoy going to, waking up every morning to do. That's the biggest thing and difference for me. And again, that's what attracted me to it was the fact that I could wake up every single day, be excited, not dread going to work a single day. And going back to what I said previously was that everything is so different compared to, going to a job, what to expect on an 8 to 5 job. It's the same thing day in and day out. And here it's not.
Awesome. Well, that's great. And I think that's great advice for really anybody, because, I think even if a job, quote unquote, is, or what you're choosing could be, most people would consider it a career. If you're not enjoying what you do, it's very difficult to find that career path, find out where you want to go and what you want to become. What would you say has been kind of that driving force? You were always a guy who's kind of on the cutting edge of doing different things and really pushing the envelope. What are those things that drive you personally to continue to get better, continue to want to do better today than you did yesterday?
I think the fact that, especially in this industry, things change daily. I love that you're never going to know everything about it, that you're constantly going to learn something every single day. That's what I challenge myself to do is, you know, I've came a long way from where I was 3.5 years ago. But I know that every single day there is something that is going to change, and I'm going to have to learn that and then take my knowledge and be able to pass it down to others is important to me because again, with the new students coming in and everything, it's all new to them, it's all new to everybody. And that's the biggest thing is the fact that it changes daily and there's always something to push you to want to be better, want to learn more, want to learn the new stuff and how it works and continue to build your knowledge based off of all of that.
Absolutely. And I think you said a couple of important things there. One being that every day is a day to learn. And I think that that is a key component to kind of what we were talking about at the outset of really finding a career, is understanding that you are going to learn every day and being open to that learning.
Mhm.
I think the other important thing you said was sharing that knowledge.
Yeah.
And I think in any place that you're going to be productive and continue to grow, we grow a lot of the time through helping others, through passing along that knowledge, getting something back, and watching others grow. There's a distinct satisfaction personally when you get to provide someone something that you have and see them excel. What do you do? So being a technician is maybe some listeners know and others may not. You know, to me, it is one of the toughest jobs because you are in a van isolated by yourself. And that can be when faced with negativity or a bad situation or a rough customer interaction, could be very easy to get off course and want to start blaming things or making excuses or whatever it is. You seem like a guy who just has tremendous success. What could you recommend? What are some of the things that you do personally to really lock that mindset in on each and every call and to kind of overcome maybe obstacles that you may face out there on a daily basis?
Yeah. Well, the first thing I do is I've always I've always taught everybody that I've ever helped that it's one call, one customer at a time. You never know what you're going to get into from. You could go to your first call and you could be on it for 40 minutes. You could be on it for 5 hours. You don't know. But what I've always done for myself is I use my van time to refresh, whether that's listening to podcasts or listening to audiobooks or something. I use that time to settle down, forget the last call, realize that that last call is done and over with, start to shift my focus towards the next call. I'll usually go through, read the notes, the history of the current call I'm heading to, and kind of shift my focus towards them. But I use that time to really settle down and again try to forget the last call, move forward, and just take a breather while I'm heading to that next call. And that's the biggest thing that's helped me is that alone time to myself to finally breathe and get away from that call, whether it was an easy call or it was a super long, hard call that took you half of the day. I use that time to myself.
Absolutely. And I think that is a very, um, very, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of, being able to view that is that alone time as a refresher, where many people may view it, as I kind of pointed out there in the kind of the lead up to that question was, many people may view that alone time as a time where you could get, it could be very negative. It could be troubling because you're in your own head. You're thinking this, thinking that. There's so many things going on. But I think of, in anything that we talk about in leadership, a lot of that is perspective. Is this, as you said, when it comes to learning, when it comes to viewing time where you can get better, or you could get worse. And
Right.
so I think as leaders, whether it be an individual contributor or someone leading an entire department, we often have to be careful of our perspective and where we're coming from. As it relates to perspective, how would you describe the, I guess, more so ratio of when it comes to diagnosing the customer versus diagnosing the system when you're in a home? What would you say that is for you? How do you view that relationship?
So we actually just got asked this question yesterday, so it's pretty fresh. I think that the biggest and most important thing is always diagnosing the customer. If you can't read the customer, um, good chance you're not going to be able to be focused on diagnosing the furnace or AC or whatever it is. I think the biggest thing is building that rapport with the customer first. That is always my number one thing is, I'll give the customer all the time in the world that they want, answer as many questions, talk to them about whatever they want, because, we don't know their story. We don't know what they're going through until we get there. And I think focusing on diagnosing the person first, they're going to answer and basically tell you all of the questions that you want to know about the system if you just sit and listen. So I think the most important thing is diagnosing the person, getting to know that person, putting yourself in their shoes. And again, they'll answer all the questions you want. You don't even have to ask them, and they'll tell you everything you want to know about what's going on.
Yeah, and Josh, thanks for sharing that. To me, this brings up we had another podcast guest on earlier this week, and we were talking about using what he terms masterful questions, and the art of sacred listening. And to me, while listeners may not be running service calls every day, if you are, that's some great advice on how to interact with the customer. And then kind of bringing it full circle from a leadership perspective, what Josh just described is the same exact philosophy that one should take when it comes to leading others. Whether it's a customer in front of you or someone that you're leading, diagnose the person before we diagnose any of the problems associated with what their job task is. We have to understand those that we lead. We've got to dig in. We've got to ask those questions. We've got to understand their perspective, where they're coming from. And if we can uncover that, if we're willing to take the time to invest in our people and develop them, they're going to grow. Your department's going to grow. Your budget's going to be met. All of your goals are going to be hit. Whatever it is that you're trying to achieve, it starts with the interaction of the people. Josh has pointed out too, is as far as training younger technicians. Some of our people from our Top Tech Academy. I know Josh has played a big role in talking to these students before they actually even are accepted into the school, and also apply once they're out in the field. Josh, what would you say to people that are looking? Well, you can probably just reflect on one of the conversations that you've had with one of the students. But what would you say are some of the apprehensions with people wanting to make a career shift into the trades, and what do you kind of say to those questions?
Well, whenever we went through the interview process with all of the top tech students, I found that I was getting the same answers over and over and over, or the same questions over and over and over again. And the biggest question that I got was, what's a typical day? And, at first I would answer them, but then I started realizing a pattern. Basically I got to where I was saying, the life of a technician, there's no such thing as a typical day. I go back to what I said previously, you may be on a call for 40 minutes, you may be on a call that's going to take you an entire day. The biggest thing is that is what makes it fun. To me, that's what makes it really fun, is the fact that, you could go on a job that you've never been on before. You can build that rapport with that customer. You can service them, give them the 5-star customer experience that we strive upon. And you can leave there and go to your next call, do the same exact thing, but it could take you a lot longer. Your first call may be a service call, your next call may be a heating or cooling check. But I got asked that a lot, what is a typical day? And there's no such thing as a typical day. I mean, yeah, you go to work, and you come home, that's the only typical thing there is about it. But the best thing about it is that you're always going to be able to learn something new every single day, because again, you're never going to know everything in this industry.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's extremely true in our industry. And I think that, if we asked anybody really in any industry to think about what goes on, there's no real typical day. But I think as it relates to what we do, and as what we try to do when it comes to developing our leadership is, I would say that the typical part of our day, like you said, you could be at one call for 5 hours, you could be there for 40 minutes, but the typical part of our day is to show up with a smile and be ready to take care of somebody.
That's
And it
exactly
doesn't
right.
matter if you're going to take care of 4 people that day. It doesn't matter if you're just going to take care of that one that you're there for all day on. But if you show up ready to take care of somebody and you understand that that's the typical part of your day, and you do that every day, you'll be extremely successful. And your
Absolutely.
days will become typical because yeah, I just show up every day and I just try to make someone super happy. I try to take care of someone's problem. I think that's the biggest thing, you know, as it relates to leadership that we can all understand as well. If we show up every day as a leader, if we show up as Josh does at every customer's home, wanting to make someone happy, wanting to care for another, if we do that, if we're leading a department or taking care of one individual customer, it doesn't matter. It's all the same. It's show up with the intent to help. And that's really super simple. It's when it gets complicated is when we start to lose track and when our leadership gets off track. When you go into a home as a technician and you're trying to diagnose the problem before even talking to the customer, you're trying to make up your own solutions and recommend things that they don't even need. That's when things get complicated, because then you're backtracking, then you're trying to explain something, the customer's getting confused. Whereas if you show up at the door ready to help and you just tell the customer that I am here to help you in any way humanly possible today. I'm going to make this a 5-star experience, better than anything you've ever experienced. You're going to be successful. As a leader, if you showed up every day for your people and said, it is my job to support you in any way, shape, or form today, and help you be at your best to help solve any problem that you may have, guess what? You're going to be successful as a leader. This is super simple. I've always said that, will always say that. You show up wanting to help people. And there is no better representation than Josh when it comes to taking care of customers. This guy, people, has went over and above to take care of a number of customers in just the short time that he's been here. I can't believe it's already been a year. I can't believe March is here, frankly. But he's off to a great start, and we couldn't be happier to have him on our team. And the reason that I love Josh on our team is frankly because it's not anything that he does technically. It's not anything that he does while he's out in the home. It's just the person he is and who he wants to be for his customer. And the more people that we can have on our team that want to show up and be great for the customer, the better we are going to be as a company. So as we wrap up here, Josh, what any advice, anything you'd like to share? I appreciate you volunteering to come on the podcast. Obviously, this is not a typical day in the life of a technician, but what if anything is there that you'd like to share with people listening?
The biggest thing I would share is, again, that if you're looking for a career to help people and you genuinely care about helping people, the first step, like you've stated, is, diagnosing the customer, helping the customer, showing up to each and every customer, whether it's your first or your last, showing up to them with a smile, clean cut, dress nice and everything, and just giving them the same customer service that you gave the first customer, giving that to the last one. No matter how many calls you run a day, giving that same customer service throughout the entire day, I think you'll be very successful. And the other thing is, continue to learn outside of work. That's where I've been very successful, is, listening to podcasts, reading books and stuff. To be successful in this, you have to work outside. You have to do your own studying and everything. And if you do those things, I think anyone can be successful in this industry. Beautifully
said. Yeah, there is a lot that can be said, and it definitely shines through in your willingness to learn outside of work. I think as it relates to development in anything that you're doing, you have to be willing to put in the extra work. The work you put in from 9 to 5 is work that needs to be done, but it's the work that you put in outside which is going to propel you to the next level. You've got to be willing to put in those extra hours if you want to move to that next level. So thank you for your commitment to getting better. Thank you for your commitment to leadership. You set a fantastic example for all our technicians, and especially those coming up through the school and ones just getting into the industry. So thank you for sharing your perspective and your knowledge. We really appreciate you being on today, Josh.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Perfect. Well, that concludes another episode of Can't Stop the Growth. Hopefully you learned a little bit from Josh today. As I said, we appreciate him being on here. And the biggest thing I can leave you with is go out and make someone smile today. It is a great day to help somebody. It is a great day to be of service to others. That is what leadership is all about. Thanks again for listening. Until next time, everyone have a great day.